Okay, let's work on problem 17.8 together. Dissident stockholder group and cumulative voting. Okay, you're going to need, there's a formula that we're going to use for this problem, and that formula is on page 550. On page 550, formula 17.2. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we go through this problem. The Beasley Corporation has been experiencing declining earnings, but has just announced a 50% salary increase for its top executives. Wow. A dissident group of stockholders wants to oust the existing board of directors. There are currently 14 directors total. And 32,500 shares outstanding. Mr. Wright, the president of the company, has the full support of the existing board. The dissident stockholders control proxies for 15,001 shares. Okay, Mr. Wright is worried about losing his job. Under cumulative voting procedures, how many directors can these dissident stockholders elect with the proxies they now hold? And how many directors could they elect under majority rule with the proxies? So first, let's take a look at calculating how many they can elect under cumulative voting procedures. All right, and that's where our formula comes into play. So the number directors that can be elected equals shares owned minus 1 times total directors plus 1 divided by number of shares outstanding. All right, so now we can plug in the numbers. That's shares owned is 15,001 minus 1 times the total number of directors to be elected is 14 plus 1 divided by the total number of shares outstanding, which is 32,500. Okay, so we'll just call this D. This ends up being D equals, when you do the math, 225,000 divided by 32,500, and that means the number of directors that can be elected is 6. Okay, 6 directors could be elected by the dissident stockholders under cumulative voting. However, the next question, how many directors could they elect under majority rule with these proxies? The answer is none could be elected by them under majority rule because the existing board over 50% of the shares. All right, so on the second part there, the dissident shareholders would have to have more than 50% ownership of these 32,500. They'd have to have 16,250 shares to get any directors on the board. But in this case, they only have 15,001, so they can get 6 of 14 board members elected. All right. Now we have letter B. How many shares are needed to elect 9 directors under cumulative voting? All right, so we'll do that one over here. It's letter B. And this is the previous formula that we used in the previous problem that we just did. I think it was problem 17.4. So if you're wondering about this formula, it's formula 17.1 on page 549. That's the formula we're going to use to solve for B. It calculates the number of shares required. And when we take a look at that formula, 9 times 32,500 divided by 14 total directors plus 1, all plus 1. These are the number of shares required to elect 9 shareholders, or not 9 directors. Okay. S then equals 292,500 divided by 15 plus 1, which means S equals 19,501 shares.